Hey guys, it's your girl Alicia Wanshell. Welcome to V.O.W. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I want to thank those of you who have subscribed. Thank you so much. For those who have not, please make sure you do. Also, please make sure that you like and share with your family and friends. And please make sure you leave a comment. Alright, so guys, what I want to talk about tonight, I want to talk about part 2 of my life, okay? Just to piggyback on what we talked about in the last video, I kind of talked about how I was molested growing up as a child, and I talked about some of the things that I experienced. And so tonight what I would like to talk about is I would like to talk about how being molested impacted my life, okay? We're going to talk about that, and we'll also talk about some of the things that I experienced with my mom. I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not, but my mom, she was an alcoholic. She drank day and night, so I just want to talk a little bit about that, okay? So I think I left off from where I was moving out of my mom's home at the age of 18. I had gotten my own place, so I just want to kind of jump back a little bit so that I can talk about some things that I may have forgotten to mention, okay? So basically, you know, after going through the things that I experienced with my mom and her boyfriend, you know, I had dealt with a lot with them. You know, I felt an obligation to defend my mom. The person that she was involved with, he really wasn't supportive of her at all. You know, he didn't help her take care of us. You know, he wasn't financially stable. He mainly depended on my mom, you know, so that was a lot. And so basically, you know, dealing with all of those things, you know, I kind of developed a really bad attitude, you know, especially with my mom, you know, boyfriend being back in the home after what we had experienced. You know, again, he did try to molest me. This is now the last guy that she dated. I was 12 years old at the time, and again, he tried to molest me. However, I was able to defend myself, and I was able to let my mom know. However, she did not believe me. So from that point, you know, I did reach out to an older cousin. She did pick me up, and I spent the night with her, and she reached out to my mom. So that's just some of what happened in the last video. She did try to talk to my mom. My mom was not really you know, talking right, if you will. So my cousin did contact DFACS. Now, fast forwarding to part 2. Part 2 is basically talking about how I was impacted. How did it affect me? So, being molested impacted my life with everything that I've dealt with, you know, growing up with my mom. I stopped caring, basically. I developed an I don't care attitude, started doing what I wanted to do. I had a really horrible anger issue, you know, and it just wasn't, you know, just for no reason. You know, it was for things like, you know, her boyfriend, he would pick with me, he would start you know, drama. You know, my mama would believe him over me, and so it was just a lot of things that I had been dealing with. And I just felt like, you know, hey, I'm being blamed for things that I'm not doing, you know, so I might as well do what I want to do. So, you know, that's the kind of attitude, you know, I had an I don't care attitude. And then, to be honest with you, you know, guys, that's the wrong type of attitude to have, because at the end of the day, you're only impacting yourself. So, you know, eventually what ended up happening was I ended up sneaking boys in and out of the house, and it caught up with me. Yes, I ended up getting pregnant, and so I was only 15 years old when I had my first child. I was in middle school, and I was in the 8th grade, in fact, and I remember having this little small baby, and I did not know what to do with her. I didn't have a clue. And I can remember my mom looking at me and saying, you had her, you're going to take care of her. And she meant that. I was going to school still. Now, while I was pregnant, I was homeschooled for a bit. And then after I had her, I got my baby into daycare. And the daycare van was kind of conflicting with my school bus schedule because her van would come after my school bus. And so my mom, when I tell you, she was serious about what she said. As soon as she seen that daycare van coming, or my school bus coming, when she seen my school bus coming, she would take off. And so I was left stuck to stay behind. And so I would miss my school bus. We didn't have transportation. And so, I was kind of like in between a rock and a hard space, a hard spot rather. And eventually my mom said, you're going to have to tell those people that you have a baby. And I remember telling my mom, and I told her, I said, listen, they don't care. It doesn't matter to them. Either way, I still have to make up these days. I still have to go to school. And my mom, she kept saying over and over, you're going to have to tell those people that you have a child. And so, she became frustrated and everything. And eventually what she did was she made me quit. And why did I say she made me quit? Is because she went out to the schoolhouse. I remember one day she said, come on, I'm taking you out of school. And I can remember feeling so sad, guys. I felt so sad because I didn't want to quit school. I wanted to stay in school because I really wanted something out of life, because of the hard life that I lived and all of the things that I've gone through. I always said that I wanted to do better. And so when my mom decided to take me out of school, I can remember walking in the school building, and I was feeling really down, just feeling down. And everyone was looking and they were wondering what was going on. And I can remember the front office giving me a pink slip, and I had to take it to each teacher to sign. And as I walked into each classroom, people stared, my classmates, and they was like, you're dropping out, why? And the only thing I could say was because so it was just really a disappointing moment for me at that time. And so I can remember when my mom finally pulled me out of school after the process was done. I just felt really sad. And eventually what happened was I ended up getting a job. And again, guys, remember, my mom, she was not babysitting or anything like that. Maybe every once in a while, but for the most part, she wouldn't babysit. So what I ended up doing was I ended up taking my daughter to work with me. Yes, you heard me. I used to take my daughter to work, and I worked at a fast food restaurant called Hardee's. And I can remember I started working there when I was about 17 years old. And well, you know what? Let me back up. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead of myself again. Before I get to that point, I believe what I ended up doing. Okay, so she pulled me out of school. Let me see. How old was I? Was I 16 or 17? I believe I was right around the same time. So, so I ended up, okay, no, let me back up. So I ended up going back to school. I did pursue my GED. And they had a little daycare, so it was really convenient for young mothers like myself. And so I did go ahead and I started working on my GED. And eventually I ended up getting a job at the fast food restaurant, and I was about 17 years old at that time. So it was around, it was right around that time when I was pulled out of school. I was maybe 16, 17. So, I was going back and forth to the school to pursue my GED. And it almost seemed like it wasn't going to happen, And so I was feeling kind of discouraged, and, I just, prayed, and people would talk to me, different people, different adults and things. And so, you know, I was determined. I was determined. You know, I picked myself back up. I said, I can do this. And I kept striving. I kept pursuing. I kept pushing, rather. And I was eventually able to obtain my GED. And after that moment, I remember saying, well, I'm not satisfied. I am not satisfied. I want more. And so what I did was I registered to go to a 2-year college. It was called Craven Community College. And I started the process, took some tests, and I got in. So I was very excited about that. Again, I was working at a fast food restaurant called Hardee's, and there was times when I had to take my daughter to work, and we had a little small play area, and I used to watch my daughter while she played in the area, and while at the same time working. I was a cashier, and so, you know, it was very challenging, guys. It was very challenging being a young, you know, teenage mother trying to better my life. But, you know, I said, I want more. I want to do better than, you know, my mom did. And so I was really, really, really determined to do so. And again, me and my mom had a really rocky relationship. And, you know, by the time I had turned 18, which is right around the time I started the 2-year college, I got my own place. And I want to say it was around October. It might have been May. It was between October and May. So basically I got my own place, and I was really happy. You know, I remember just decorating my apartment so nice, and, you know, people used to stop by and look and, oh, how you doing all of this? You know, I was just really blessed at that time. And so I got my place. You know, and again, my mom, she told you in the last video, is that my mom, she drank a lot. I might have mentioned that she was intoxicated one time, but she drank like every day, all day. And that was a huge factor, that played a part in our relationship. And I can remember when I was younger, you know, maybe 12 years old and up, you know, she would drink so much till sometimes she would have seizures. So that used to worry me a lot. And then there was times when, like, she wouldn't come home. So I would be concerned, like, you know, thinking that, you know, she might have gotten hit by a car, you know. So I had a lot of pressure on me and a lot of stress and frustration. So, I mean, I would do anything for her, regardless of, you know, what type of relationship we had. You know, she was still my mom. So, you know, I gave her a key to my apartment, and so my mom could come in, you know, come and go whenever she pleased. And she didn't live too far. She lived like right across the way from where I lived. And so when I would be at work, my mom would go into my apartment. And I can remember one day coming in, and I looked in my freezer and my fridge, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have any food. And so I remember going to my mom's house one day, and I'm like walking up towards her door, and immediately she slammed the door. And so there I was standing at her window talking to her through her open window. And I'm telling her, Mom, what happened to I'm asking her, Mom, what happened to my food? And she immediately just slammed the window down in my face. And so I remember standing there looking like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have any food. So, you know, we got into an altercation over that, and I can remember asking her for my key back, and I remember her throwing the key at me. It wasn't that same day, but it was another day when I eventually caught up with her. She might have been walking to the store. I know it was maybe I went over to her house. I can't remember exactly, but I eventually got my key back. So that was that. And I can remember I was just, you know, I had been working at the fast food restaurant maybe 3 years, and I remember going to work every single day saying, I'm gonna quit. I just couldn't. I hated it, but I knew I had to keep the job for me and my daughter. Just wanted to share my story with you. It's not all, it's so much more I have to tell, but maybe one day soon I will share some more of my story with you guys. But please, again, make sure that you are being very careful. You know, you have to be very careful. You know, I do want to say that just because, you know, something bad really happened to you in life, it doesn't mean that you have to allow it to disable you. To never allow your situation to disable you as a person. Continue to live your life and continue to live it for the better, not for the worse. Okay, a lot of times I know some of us, and I'm not, you know, like I mentioned to you, I was promiscuous. That was my issue. But I know some have turned to drugs, and some have turned to alcohol, and some have turned to, you know, other things. And I just want to just say that, you know, none of those things can replace what happened to you. None of those things will heal you. They will only make your life worse, okay? Because now you're dependent on something, and it's not gonna take that pain away that you were dealing with, or that you are dealing with. So guys, please make sure the number one key is that you love yourself. You have to love yourself before anybody else can love you. You know, make sure that you love yourself. Please make sure that you are forgive yourself. I know a lot of people like myself, I have kept secrets that I should have spoken to people about, or someone about, a long time ago, you know. And I felt like, you know, when I got old enough to realize it, I felt like, gosh, if I had told someone, then I could have saved someone else from being violated. I could have saved someone else from being hurt. But guys, I just want to let you know, you have to forgive yourself. Later on in life, I learned that my mommy she drank so heavily because she carried a guilt that she should have never owned. Her mom had passed away 6 days after giving birth to her. And I later in life learned, and I didn't learn this until I was an adult. So my sister's father had told her, well, you know, your mom shared with me that the reason why she drank so much was because she felt like she was responsible for her mom passing away. And, you know, it really touched my heart. And I thought about it. I was like, oh my gosh. You know, I used to always complain about her drinking. And, you know, I used to always say, well, Mama, why don't you need to stop drinking so much? And I remember she would always say, I'm grown. I can do what I want to do. I'm grown. And, you know, but I just never did understand. I couldn't understand why she drank so much. So guys, I'm just here to tell you that drinking is not going to solve anything. You know, my mom, she passed away at the age of 41. She was very young, guys. She was taking all sorts of medications. So, you know, turning to drugs, turning to alcohol is only going to harm you more than anything, okay? It doesn't help you at all. It doesn't help you at all, you know. So please, I want you to make sure that you are, you know, thinking about the things that you do before you do it. Make sure that you are making good, wise decisions. That's so important. You know, if you need some help, reach out to, you know, for some help. You know, they have all type of support groups. They also have counselors who specialize in different fields. And so, you know, if you feel like you need some help, please make sure you talk to somebody. It's so important. Okay, because otherwise, you know, we have all these beautiful people losing their lives. You know, you have the AIDS out here nowadays. You know, it's really bad. You have other diseases. You know, you have people overdosing on drugs. You have people dying from liver diseases from drinking so much. You know, so, you know, you just really want to make sure that you are taking care of you. Okay, you want to make sure that you're taking good care of yourself. Love yourself the way that nobody else can love you. That's so important, okay? Never depend on somebody else to love you when you can love yourself. You can love yourself better than anybody. Anybody. So please make sure that you are taking care of you, okay? Make sure that you're you're getting involved with the right people, okay? But I just wanted to share that with you guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I will share some more of my story one day. I just wanted to give you a little bit about my life, just so that you can understand where where I come from and what I've dealt with in life. I am not I'm not a professional or a professional counselor or anything like that, but I am definitely qualified from my experience, okay? I've experienced a lot in my life, as you can see. I've been through the molestation, I've been through the physical abuse, I've been through the mental abuse, emotional, everything. I've even been through financial abuse, guys. So I've been through a lot of things, so I can relate to a lot of people who are going through some of those things, And another thing I want to talk about in one of my videos is alcoholism and drugs. Alcohol and drugs can really damage a family. It can tear your whole family apart, and I'm telling you, I lived it. I was just a young teenager, 12 years old, in middle school, in 6th grade, and I remember that, the teachers would come and pull me out of class at a certain period of the day, and I would have to attend like an Al-Anon class. I think that's what they call it, Al-Anon, and it was like a group meeting with the students who had parents who were alcoholics or drug addicts or whatever. And so we would sit in the class, talk about emotions, how we felt. And so, that's not anything that a child should be going through, I wanted to have a normal childhood, and unfortunately I didn't have that, I was forced to grow up way before my time, and, I just became this different person, Again, I just developed an I don't care attitude. I didn't care about anything at one point. I even started drinking myself, I started drinking. I smoked a little marijuana, but then I realized those things didn't do anything for me at all. I didn't like feeling drunk and looking crazy. I hated that. And I didn't like the way the marijuana made me feel. It just made me laugh. And I'm like, I feel foolish. So, that just wasn't something that wasn't my thing. And I thank God that he did not give me that struggle, because that is it's a stronghold. And it's hard to break once you get involved, once you get attached to those things. It's really hard to break that cycle. So please make sure you're being very careful with what you get involved with. Okay, because you are important, you matter, you have people that love you, okay? You have people that love you, so please be very, very careful, especially if you have kids, because, kids they watch everything that we do. We're their biggest role model, so we want to make sure that we're leading by example, Again, I am working on a book, so I pray that you guys will support me. It will mean so much. I do have my groups, V.O.W. Voices of Women, and let me go back. That's V.O.W. V.O.W. quotation marks, Voices of Women, okay? So don't forget that the Voices of Women is in quotation marks. I mess up on that all the time, so forgive me. And then I have the V.O.W. 2019. That's for my Instagram. Let me say that again. V.O.W. 2019. And then I also have, of course, my Facebook page. That's just the V.O.W. and then that's Voices of Women 2019. So please, ladies, make sure you guys are checking me out. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you. Don't forget to don't forget to share with your family and friends, and most importantly, please make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, okay? That would mean so much to me. Let's let's see. I'm going to try to increase my videos. I want to start doing more videos, or whatever. So I'm going to try to, record more videos. So I really hope that you guys will start watching. Please watch as I discuss really important topics. A lot of times I will share different stories of domestic abuse of different families. I had a video where I talked about from family side. You can pronounce it as family side, or you can pronounce it as familiar side, and that's where a family is murdered by the husband or boyfriend or whomever, and it's the family, which includes the mother and kids. Sometimes it can include like the parents as well, like the mother's parents, and that's where they consider that person to be a family annihilator, because they basically kill everyone. But ladies, please make sure you're watching these videos. I mean, you can save someone's life. I want us all to, come together and build a strong network. We are women, we are powerful, and we can do a lot of things if we just pull together. We can do a lot of things. So please get connected. Let's help each other out. Let's support one another. Let's build each other up. And I really look forward to working with some of you guys. Okay, so I do love you. Thank you so much again for supporting my channel. And I hope, again, you guys have an amazing day. Thank you. Goodbye.